with my esteemed colleagues who I cannot wait to introduce you to, but I'll tell you a little bit about why we're doing this session before I introduce you and letting other people come online, if that's good, Dr. Jen and Jenny. At the Somatic Experiencing Trauma Institute, SETI, as it's affectionately known to many of us, we are so excited about some of the programs we're working on. We're working on crisis stabilization and safety programming and disaster relief curriculum, and really trying to design as many resources as we can for these times in the world where those of us who are familiar with somatic experiencing know it is a profound and important resource for these times. To make it available in the space of disaster relief is something that people like myself, whose background is disaster relief, knows how important it is that we have ways to regulate and work with our nervous systems in times of immediate crisis, such as natural disasters, humanitarian crises, and man-made disasters. That said, we can answer some of your questions over the course of the time we're here together today. In fact, I hope we get a bunch of questions. We are broadcasting via Zoom, and we are broadcasting via Facebook Live. So I'm able to see any questions you all post in the Q&A. And Dr. Jen and Jenny will also see any questions you post. So I'd encourage you to go ahead and populate that queue with questions. In fact, right now, if you want to pop in there into your Q&A and post your name and where you're chiming in from, that would be kind of fun for us to know a little bit about who we're with. And if you're on Facebook, I'm not actually quite sure how that works, but if you could chime in where you're at and anything you want right from the beginning, we will be keeping tabs on what you have to say and engaging with you. The way this session is going to go is that Dr. Jen and Jenny are going to tell you a little bit about themselves, a little bit about their organization, and we've already cleared that if you have questions at any point, start chiming in. We'd like this to be a discussion. So, one last thing I'll actually also say before introductions is that what occurs to me as a disaster worker, emergency management professional, is that at times like this, when we're experiencing disaster, of which COVID and social injustices we've been experiencing in the world are very profound disasters, the likes of which the world may never have seen before, what can occur for even helping practitioners is a sense of profound helplessness. I don't know what to do or how to be a resource. And so I'm just sitting at home in COVID, feeling like I can't even get out there and do anything. And we know that one remedy for trauma is to find any antidote to helplessness. When you can actually get into action and work in the world to help others, your own experience of trauma can be transformed. And I see Jen and Jenny nodding their head with me as I say this, because we know as disaster workers, something that's made us resilient is that we have a way to get into action, and it just changes the whole way the world works. So I hope you listen today for how you might get into action with whatever your profession is. And hopefully I'd love for you to get into action with the Integrative Healers Action Network. So at SETI, we realize we can't be all things to all people. As much as we'd love to have our own disaster relief teams, that's a ways away yet, just being realistic. But why do we need to do it at the moment when we have incredible partnerships in development, like what we have with Integrative Healers Action Network, who are already providing incredible resources that we can partner with, support, endorse, and line some of you as SE practitioners, therapists, wellness providers, massage therapists with them to go get in the field. I'm rambling a little bit. Sorry, coffee's kicking in. This is just my humanity and COVID, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to stop speaking. Who you have on the screen with us right now is Dr. Jen Riegle and Jenny Harrow. These are two powerhouse, phenomenal, inspiring, motivated, well-organized, structured women who have jumped into the California fire space in the last few years and made such an impact that they've got very high-level partnerships with the Red Cross. They're working with sheltering and first responders and all sorts of great things. I'll let you let them tell you about themselves, and just thanks for being part of the info session. Hi guys, how are you doing? Please feel free to share yourselves. We're all ears.
Thanks so much, Ami.
Yeah, thanks for having us. We're so grateful for you and for SETI and our partnership. And yeah, grateful to share a little bit about Integrative Healers Action Network. We're also known as IHAN because it's a little bit of a mouthful. But my name is Jenny Harrow. I'm one of the co-founders and I'm the executive director of IHAN. And this is my partner, Jen Riegle, Dr. Jen Riegle.
Hi,
She's also our medical director, in addition to being the other co-founder of the organization. And we are both based here in Santa Rosa, California. It's Sonoma County. It's about an hour north of San Francisco. You may have heard the headlines the last few years. Our community has been hit by two pretty big fires starting in 2017. We had the Tubbs fire that was at the time the most destructive wildfire in California's history. This was before the next year when the 2018 Camp Fire impacted the Paradise community in Butte County, our neighbors to the north. So at that time, that's when Jen and I started organizing. We had about a 3-week fire response during the Tubbs fire, and we saw a gap in care that was needed. You know, we started organizing with our colleagues, other integrative health and medicine providers, to go to the shelters, to go to the first responder base camps. And what we saw was that, you know, the trauma, the shock, you know, people were so dysregulated. They're just, you know, at that time, people were fleeing their homes within 10, 15 minutes. So what we saw is a more somatic oriented approach to trauma was really needed. You know, people, as they were leaving the fires, and ending up in the shelters or other places of safety, they weren't ready to talk about their experience quite yet. And so what we saw by providing body work through massage or chiropractic or acupuncture, providing support through naturopathic care and other modalities like that, that people were able to orient, come back into their bodies, and then start the long process of figuring out the next steps of what's needed after a home is burned down or your community is in disarray during a fire. So we started IHAN pretty much during the fires, and then from there began the process of becoming a 501c3 nonprofit and established our partnerships with the American Red Cross, so that we can set up integrative health and medicine clinics at Red Cross shelters throughout the state of California. So since 2017, we set up a clinic up in Butte County for the Camp Fire. Our community was unfortunately impacted by another fire last year in 2019, the Kincaid Fire. So we set up multiple clinics here, and now we are in the midst of a very early, kind of unprecedented fire season here in California, where our neighbors to the east in Napa County we have about, last I checked, it's 2,400 acres blazing. Our neighbors to the north up in Butte County and Nevada County also are handling fires. We had some really weird lightning and thunderstorms, some dry lightning storms these last few days. And we're also navigating an unprecedented heat wave all throughout the state of California. And so there's been a lot of different rolling blackouts, power outages to help just mitigate what's going on with the heat. And yeah, normally the last few years, fires haven't normally started this early in terms of what we've been ready to mobilize for, but this is what we've been preparing for all year. You know, we work with a variety of volunteers and practitioners, and I'll let Jen chat a little bit more about our practitioner types and what our clinics are like, and a little bit more about what it's like to get involved and to volunteer with us.
Thanks, Jenny. So first, I just want to pop in and answer a question real quick here from Cynthia. And Cynthia was asking whether we have a presence in the Los Angeles area. We do, and we're always looking to grow that. Most of our major disasters of any length in the state, not all of them by any stretch, but a lot of them have been up in this area. And so a lot of our responses in the last couple of years have been in the North Bay area. There have been a couple of large fires in the LA area too that have a longer duration of response. And we did respond to one in Ventura a couple of years ago as well. Per our contract with the American Red Cross, we respond to any of the disasters in the state of California right now. At some point, we're hoping to expand that, but we're trying to do so as we expand our nonprofit very consciously and making sure that we're setting things in place to make sure that we have diversity, equity, and inclusion involved and that we're growing in a conscious way. So currently in Southern California, it was our plan, I guess, let me back up. It was our plan this year to have things very set to be able to move very quickly when disasters happen, and we would fly down and work with our practitioners in LA or in San Diego, other areas, and get that clinic set up really quickly. And that was kind of on its way, and we were working on getting that route set up with the Red Cross, and then COVID hit. And right now, because of that, we've had to take a step back a little bit and kind of work from a place that we're really familiar with, actually, which is when something happens, we're just going to have to connect and respond and see what's available at that time, because things are changing so quickly with COVID that it's really hard for someone at the Red Cross to be able to commit to us that we could work in this capacity or that capacity, depending on where things are at with COVID. So they're trying to figure out their plan in the shelters, basically, and how to keep things safe for people in COVID. And so that's a long way of saying that, yes, we do have a presence in SoCal. It's a little bit tricky this year, but one of the things that we do require is that shelters be open for more than a day or two so that we can actually get a response set up and be there for a period of time. And that happens a little less in SoCal than it does in NorCal, I think, just because of how the fire systems are set up and how tightly packed some of the cities are there. But yes, so would love to have people in SoCal join our network, and we are working on building that right now. And then when disasters hit, we're just staying in contact with people about where things are at with COVID right now. And we actually have a COVID related manual for practicing during this time at a disaster clinic coming out soon. So you'll be able to find that on our website soon, and just all of our considerations. And we have a breakdown of plans basically to choose from, kind of in buckets of like, this is the super strict, all virtual, all the way to eventually we're going to be able to resume full in-person contact and plans in between. So yeah, we're excited right now. Like I said, all of SoCal and NorCal, all of California is involved in our network. Yeah, and just wanted to touch base about the kind of the overview of the practitioner types and what we do in our clinic. So in the beginning in 2017, we had a lot of different practitioner types. And to be honest with you, things were a bit of a free-for-all because we just jumped in and we're just organizing. And there's some beauty to that, right? There's some things that I miss about it too. But we realized too, with, making sure, we wanted to make sure that people that we're serving are having a safe experience as far as trauma-informed care. And we realized through that first experience that we had that we need to make sure that the people that are volunteering with us are trauma-informed care providers. And so we have been working on putting those trainings together and have them available for people on our website as you sign up. And some of them are just rolling out too. But in that first year, we had a lot. And then we kind of, over the last couple of years, we had pared it down to licensed and certified practitioners. So massage therapists certified in California, naturopathic doctors, chiropractors, acupuncturists, integrative MDs and DOs, and certified clinical homeopaths. We are really excited this year to be expanding more into mind-body medicine. And also we're expanding some of our services and excited to be including SEPs without any other credentials, being that you're not coming in as a massage therapist who's using SE, or you're not coming in as an acupuncture who's using SE, but you operate as an SEP alone. And so yeah, we're excited about doing some of that right now. So grateful for our partnership with SETI, and we're working on creating, kind of, they're going to create a program, and we're in collaboration with them around that to make sure that SCPs are disaster ready, basically. And so in the meantime, between now and when that's totally done, we're just doing case by case, and people submit their CVs, and we talk to you and just make sure that you're feeling ready to be in disaster work.
Question?
Yeah. Go.
So what I've heard a lot from you guys, and what you've contributed so enormously to SETI, has been your disaster in-field expertise. There's plenty of SE practitioners around the country and around the world who've done all kinds of cool disaster work, and there's legacies thanks to people like Lisa Ledoux, who I know is a great friend of you guys, who's developed different disaster curriculums over time. And I'm wondering, just since this is an info session, could you say a little bit about, I think it's sort of, we all get at the gut level why like mental health and wellness matters in disaster, but what's it been like for you being an actual organization forging? Because I think people have run into disasters trying to be like, how do I be a help? I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. I just know I have these tools as a therapeutic provider of some variety, but I don't know how. And yet you guys got the know-how, and you went ahead and actually created the org, and you're starting to create the pathway and these relationships. What's it been like to bring mental health services into disaster? Have people resisted? Have you found there been opening? Has your openings been at the level of the survivors or the government? Just if you could talk a little about that. I think it's cool to know your experience. I know it from you guys firsthand. I think you're so freaking courageous and powerful. And yeah.
Oh, thanks, Ami.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Jenny and I talk sometimes about, how every year there has been a disaster that we've responded to since we started, and it's our inspiration for the following year to see the incredible work that's done in these clinics and the incredible reception that we get from people who are receiving services. We could tell you, and maybe I'll have Jenny tell one of her favorite stories, but we could tell you so many stories about people that have had such major breakthroughs. And it's the little things sometimes. It's, the woman who hasn't been able to take a shower in 2 weeks, living at a shelter, and she gets services, and finally she can go and do that. Or finally someone's nervous system is calm enough after receiving services that they can go and talk to FEMA and start getting things lined up so that they can take care of themselves and their family long term. And so it's those pieces that kind of propel us forward to continue doing the work throughout the rest of the year. And I think, as far as people receiving services, there's just been an overwhelmingly positive response. They're so grateful we're there, and it makes it so worth it to see people heal in the ways that they do. And, as far as the organizational and governmental level, I think we see varying levels of openness, but I, for one, have been surprised at the level of receptivity and excitement that we've gotten on an organizational and governmental level too. I mean, you're always going to find someone, as an ND, I'm used to this, right? I know that we do good work. I know integrative medicine is awesome. You're always going to find some naysayers.
That's some weird stuff y'all do.
Yeah.
But you guys do a lot of work with fire and law enforcement, public safety directly, right? I mean, it's an interesting side. There's a survivor side that all the photo ops, and it's important and they really matter. And then we all also know how hard emergency management professionals are working. And I feel like you guys really get all sides of that. What have you been doing with Cal OES and other things like that?
So during in our 2017 fires, we had our largest first responder clinics, probably. They were really huge that year. And I think probably mostly because the amount of people that were present, as far as coming from all over the world to fight fire, and police officers and National Guard armories, et cetera. And we served in all of those places. And we've served since then too, both in acute disaster and also in post-disaster environmental medicine. And in that area of our first responders, we've gotten such an incredible receptivity from them. They're so excited. They're so grateful. They're some of the most gracious people I think I've ever met. Like, we're so grateful to them that they're out there risking their lives every day to save our communities. And they could not have said thank you, for most of them, more to us for just, for helping them for 15 to 20 minutes. And so there, it's been great to be able to serve first responders and know that you're helping them get out of pain. You're helping them get out there in a better way where they're able to serve more, or that they're more comfortable at night, or that they're able to sleep. So that's been an incredible part of the work that we've been doing.
Yeah, I loved that during the 2017 fires. I'll never forget, we were at one of the National Guard armories, and we're there in the evening. So, these men and women were out all day long, doing search and rescue. And they'd come back into the armory, and we'd have our clinic set up, they could get body work. And we had herbalists there as well that were providing, tinctures like lavender and other things to help with sleep and to help with, the smoke exposure to support their lungs. And I remember just thinking, like, what a cool integration of worlds that were coming together of, like, I've been in the integrative health world for a while, and like things that for me, I'm like, yes, I love essential oils, and yes, my teas and things like that. And then to be able to talk to military personnel, and then to have them come up and be like, oh my God, that tea you gave me last night, like, oh, I slept so good for the first time in weeks. Or like, or the essential oil, oh, when I went out, I felt so much better. My lungs felt so much better. And it was just so beautiful to see these worlds coming together, because often I feel like they're kind of separate. But just remembering that the people who are in service are human, and they need to sleep like all of us, and their body aches like all of us. And, especially during 2017, I mean, like Jen said, we had firefighters from Australia, from all over the country coming in, because it was unprecedented what we were experiencing in our community in terms of the size and the severity of the fire here. And so these men and women were fighting fires for 48 to 72 hours straight. And to be able to come back, we were able to organize with some other, our whole community came together, especially during 2017. Like what Jen and I were organizing was a part of it. Like people were all over the county organizing, and just seeing these base camps of firefighters coming back from, their shift, their really long shift, and to receive care, like to get a massage, to get acupuncture, like, and like Jen said, they were so grateful. And every time we're just like, no, you're literally saving our community right now. Like, thank you. This is the least we can do.
What you guys have brought is really so powerful. It's massage. It's hard to get people to turn down massage, right? Anybody who's a body work professional on the line knows, like, you don't want to walk around and say, hey, I give really good back rubs. I actually have 20 years of very professional, advanced experience in structural integration and all the things that overlap. But if you come up to any person who's in massive distress or agitation, and it's sort of I say it's the gateway wellness drug, here's some massage, but at no time, like an acute crisis of a disaster, is it more welcome and needed. And so cool of you guys to have the vision to create this way. And I know COVID and the non-congregate shelter issues and all this stuff is so odd, and yet here we find ourselves in the midst of fire season anyway, right? So yeah, I know you guys have been trying to do some work around COVID and find ways to be a resource, as all disaster relief orgs do. Like, how do I fit with this current one? But now you're gearing up for the fire season. So people who are on the line right now may be all different kinds of practitioners and providers. And I see, we have a handful of you on Facebook and well, more than that, and we have a bunch of you on Zoom. What kind of questions are you guys having? I see Sandra Eagle asked one about the disaster curriculum. Some of you guys have seen SCOPE, which is our crisis stabilization and safety aid. We tried to produce as quickly as possible. Thanks to Alexandra Whitney as the original author who kicked it off, and then the whole disaster relief working group, which, by the way, Jen and Jenny, we're on the Disaster Relief Working Group. They have helped author and bring that resource to you. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, scroll through our Instagram and our Facebook, and maybe our wonderful social media director who's on the line, Rebecca Schwartz, can maybe even repost scope. And you'll see we've created a crisis stabilization and safety aid from adapted SE. So we want to create nervous system regulation, things that can be delivered quickly in the field and don't necessarily bring you down to calm, because maybe calm isn't what you need while you're still active. So that curriculum is being developed now. Still, we have another handful of working group people, some faculty advisors, and we're going to be developing it in 3 levels, like a basic, a medium, and a full 40-hour. So like a 1 hour, a 6-hour, and a 40-hour program are underway. So stay tuned for CSS, Crisis Stabilization and Safety Aid, and that should be coming out. The first level should be coming out in the next couple of months. It's a lot of work to get good curriculum. So thanks for that. And then Cynthia Perry has a nice comment here. She says, I'm tickled to hear the first responders have responded in this way. Another source said firefighters were more inclined to tough it out and not receive support. So you guys on the front lines are giving us some real feedback. If people want to get in the front lines with you, want to get in the trenches with you, what do they do? How do they do? How do they begin to try? Like, you know, to volunteer with you? Does that mean they're coming in for 5 months and have to quit their job, or what does it all look like? Can you give us a little snapshot?
Yeah, so you can go to our website, Integrative Healers Action Network.org, and sign up there. If you're a practitioner of a certification and license type, you can sign up under that. If you're a crisis support person, you can sign up under that section. And if you're an SEP, you can do either, and you can send us an email and we'll talk to you about those different options. But basically, we activate people when disaster happens. And so we like to have people as local as possible. We find that it makes the community of practitioners serving most representative of the community that that we're giving care to. And often what I find, I mean, I have a full practice and my practice is often shut down during acute disaster because, you know, the access to that and being able to go to my workspace, et cetera. And some of our practitioners just come on their days off. So you don't have to be available for a long period of time. You can message us your availability when we talk to you. You can let us know in that moment after a disaster, like I can come Tuesday and Thursday this week, or I can be there Saturday for half a day, whatever it may be. We're totally willing to work with you on that. And we kind of coordinate schedules. And we love, if at all possible, to have all of the sign up done before a disaster strikes in that area, because we do run background checks on everyone. And it's a little difficult currently, especially. We usually get those back fairly quickly, but a lot of the court systems are closed right now because of COVID, or they're working reduced hours. And so our background checks are taking longer. And so if you do know that you want to volunteer this year, if you can go ahead and just go on and sign up now, we can get that taken care of ahead of time. And then if a disaster happens in your area, we can just go and deploy. So yeah, and I just wanted to mention too, you know, that I know we don't have a lot of time, but I just want to give a shout out to the SE principals have really, really directed how our clinic's trauma-informed care practices go. When we first started looking into the trauma-informed care world and said, you know, we really need to get up to date on this world and started digging in, SE came up over and over and over again. And so Jenny and I became students, and we're actually in the middle of that right now. We're SE students. And just from our first training, actually, after that first training, we came back and we were like, this, and this need to change about our clinics now. We shortened the duration of time that we treat people, and then we implemented a lot of what scope is actually using. And so highly recommend just taking a look at that tool and using some of those techniques, and also the knowledge base that stabilization is the most important part of what we do, really. This is not the place to go super deep into someone's past history and open up this huge thing when they're in the middle of acute crisis, or to bring them so deeply into relaxation that they can't go and take that next step that they need to. Or if they're a disaster worker, they have to get up and they have to be on it and prepared. So just, you know, those are just really briefly a couple of the big things that we've learned from SETI that I am so grateful for the work and the structure of that.
And I want to give another quick just mention about how to volunteer with us. And, you know, as Jen mentioned, we'd love for, you know, our practitioners to be local, but also since we're in this COVID world and a lot of our offerings have become virtual, that's really opened up our field of volunteers and people who can get involved with us. And so if you are interested in supporting and getting involved and you live in any part of the country, or in that case, any part of the world, you know, we really invite you to reach out to us because there are plenty of opportunities to get involved. You know, lots of behind the scenes work that, as you know, Ami, that goes into mobilization and doing disaster response work, but also as we're navigating the unknown of what fire season will be like in the world of COVID. You know, as Jen mentioned, we have multiple contingency plans depending on when the fire happens and where and what's going on with COVID. And, you know, the Red Cross has a whole contingency plan about, you know, they're really trying to limit congregate sheltering as much as possible during this time. So there will likely be a lot of opportunity for practitioners to share their tools and their skills virtually. And so that'll really open that up as well. And then we've been working really hard on getting our new Salesforce CRM set up so that a lot of the volunteer like scheduling and things like that is all going to be automated now, which is so grateful for our awesome team of Cynthia's our volunteer manager who's been doing an amazing job with that. So anyway, just wanted to let you know, if you're in California, yes, we need people on the ground. Like, please reach out. And then if you're in other parts of the country or world, please reach out as well. There's lots of ways to get involved.
That's awesome, guys. You're so inspiring to me. I really love entrepreneurism when it's like actually solving real world problems. And from the standpoint of emergency management, I know you're solving a real problem, which is just bringing powerful resources of care into places where the world really needs it and didn't really maybe know how to integrate this into it. So I love that integrative is in your name, even though I know it refers to integrative medicine. You're like really integrating wellness, whole life wellness into a space where people are having the hardest days of their lives. And that's just really magnificent. Thank you for your work. And to anybody else who's on the line, you know, like these guys are in California right now, expanding to around the world. I mean, my goal for them is to support them so that they'll be a global organization in a few years bringing this. But some of you might be inspired to form disaster relief orgs. When I first came to SETI, I thought we could kind of form that inside the Institute, and I realized maybe that was too big, too broad. But if some of you on the line want to know, where can I learn more about disaster relief? How do I get a little bit of FEMA training and things like that? I hear a lot. You know, feel free to shoot me an email, publichealth@traumahealing.org. I'd be more than happy to chat with you a little bit, know more about you, find ways to kind of plug you into the systems that I know exist, because resources like what you guys all bring are really needed in this community. And there's a much bigger reach, a much bigger interest, like what was being said earlier. I didn't know there was interest. We did a massage clinic with Bay County Fire and EMS a few years back, actually prior to Hurricane Michael, when Bay County was actually ground zero of that. And man, the dispatchers really got so much out of just having some bodily relief and peace from the massage therapy clinic. So we're all looking at ways to just be a great resource to each other. And I'd love to support us and create a better network of us doing it collaboratively. None of us are in this alone. So let's move all of our stuckness of this really interesting year into more action. Any closing remarks, guys? Are we there? Is that good? You feel this is a good start? We'll probably do more of these, guys. We're finding our way through what we need to say right now.
Yeah, I just want to say that's what it's all about. What you just said to me, it's all about community. It's all about connectivity and connecting with each other and feeling that connectedness through our interactions with people and how we come together during disaster. And that's what brings me back. That's what is inspiring every single time. And that's why our volunteers come back, because they feel that strong connection with their community members. And so us too, we're so happy and willing to talk to anyone. And please feel free to reach out. You can find our emails on our website, and would love to just
healingactionnetwork.org.
Yeah, Integrative Healers Action Network.org. Yeah, it's a long one. If you search IHAN, you can often find us just on Google. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in today, and we're just grateful for this community of healing. So grateful.
All right, everybody. Much love, much gratitude. Bye. Thank you, Dr. Jen, Jenny. You guys are.
Thanks, Ami. Thanks, Rebecca.
Yeah.
Thanks, Rebecca, behind the scenes.
Bye.